Hello, happy Sunday. It's the third and final day of the South Carolina Writers Association's annual conference, the Storytelling State. And today I have with me two more authors, and I think I might be joined by the conference director here in a little bit. So a short little live stream to tell you about the wonderful writers that are in the South Carolina Writers Association and who have been part of this conference over the course of the weekend. I'm Casey Whitener, the host of Write On SC, and this is Author Interviews. Hi, Josie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. So I've got with me now Josie Olsvig, who is a Gullah expert. Is this a right way to put it? Josie's got two books that are related to the Low Country. The first is Gullah Tears, The Enslaved Souls of Charleston. And the second one is Growing Up Gullah. And they can be found on Josie's website, which is here. I'll put that up for a sec. And then I'm just going to ask you, Josie, to tell us a little bit about these books and about your attraction to this Gullah community and your mission in terms of writing these stories.
Okay, well, let me start out by explaining who the Gullah people are, because not everyone really knows. But the Gullah people are descendants of enslaved West Africans, and they come from around the Ivory Coast. They were selected because of the tribes they belong to, but most of them come from Angola, Sierra Leone, and places like that. And we know that from records that we have of the slaver ships, but also a great deal of research has been done about the Gullah language and where the origins of the language came from. And they did narrow it down to Sierra Leone. I am, as you can see, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman. I am originally from Ohio, but around 10 years ago, I started to have very vivid dreams about an enslaved woman, a beautiful enslaved woman with pale green eyes. She was in an argument with her white master, and she was asking for freedom, and she wanted a house. And the argument escalated, and he ultimately drowned her. And in my dream state, I could feel the cold water hitting the right side of my face. I could see my right arm flailing and felt myself fall to the ground. And I had this dream about 8 times or so, and it was very vivid. It was like watching a movie in a theater, sitting up front, and I didn't know what it meant. And I prayed to God and said, "Tell me what this means." And the last time I had the dream, it's like a camera panned to one side, and it showed me a toddler who looked very much like the white master, but it was the enslaved woman's child that they had together. At any rate, a couple months after the dream stopped, my husband got a transfer to Charleston. I went ahead and happened to pick out a house that just felt right to me. I didn't know the significance. I just liked it, and didn't realize I was about a half mile from a plantation in Mount Pleasant. And I went and toured the plantation. I was on a wagon on a tour. And as we came into this one part of the plantation, I got this tingling sensation up my back. The hairs on my arm stood up, and I saw on the plantation what I had seen in the dream.
Wow.
And I was like, there's a message here. This is too many. This is not just luck that this happened. So I started to read about the Gullah culture, and where I was in Mount Pleasant, it was close to Route 17. So there were a lot of the sweetgrass basket shacks. I started out by touring plantations, interviewing local Gullahs, talking to people who were heads of local Gullah groups in Mount Pleasant and around there. And so I've been on a journey for almost 7 years now, reading, researching, interviewing, doing site visits. I've done archival research everywhere from Hilton Head up to the National African American Museum up in Washington, D.C. Kind of read everything and looked at everything I could, including slave narratives, journals, letters, plantation ledgers, which are very detailed. And since at the time enslaved people were considered chattel property, there's a lot of detailed information about them. They were evaluated every year for their dollar value, so they would know whether they had broken an arm, or if they were getting older, if they were ill, or whatever might have happened to them. All that's recorded in a ledger. So I just dug for 6 years, and I did a lot of archival research and interviewing, but I also, we were just doing our tax records and realized that I bought 187 books.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and have at least read part of them. And so that's not even all the books I looked at. I also, took some out from the library, but I've done a lot of research. And even now, I don't really consider myself a Gullah expert. I am struggling to learn more, and it's like every day I learn something else. But at any rate, so I have published my first book. It is the first in a series. It is about the Gullah culture, race-based slavery, and antebellum Charleston, and it takes place roughly 1795 to just before the Civil War. And it is very heavy on history. If you read this and you say, gee, that really could not have happened, it happened. Most of the scenes are taken out of slave narratives. And I remember early on, well, actually, this is being adapted to a miniseries. And the screenwriter said to me, well, this is fiction, right? I said, no. We talked about certain scenes. I said, no, that's from a slave narrative.
Wow.
Like the runaway slave scene, that is taken from an actual slave narrative.
Well, now, so tell me about the structure of this book. Is it a narrative book in terms of is there a story? Is there a protagonist? Is it written like narrative fiction?
It is a historical fiction novel. It is done in third person.
Okay.
And it starts with the middle passage. And it had to start at 1795 because I wanted to talk about the pest houses on Sullivan's Island. And make it before the international slave trade was stopped. Even though it still went on, there was still a lot of illegal slave trade that went on. But so that's why I had to start it that early. And it starts, the main character is Henty, and she is the woman who's captured over in Africa and brought here. And she lives on a plantation named Twin Oaks, which is really Boone Hall Plantation, but I call it Twin Oaks. And so it goes up to right before the Civil War. And I think I mentioned this is the first in a series. So where I have moved away from Charleston now, I live down in Beaufort because the story is going to move down to Beaufort and the Civil War and Reconstruction. So Beaufort was invaded by Union forces about 7 months into the war, and efforts at Reconstruction started here with the Penn Center. And so that's why I wanted to move here and really get a good feel of the area.
So tell me this, as you've invested this time in the research and the writing of Gullah Tears, are you feeling a sense of closure, or have you broken up a new history for yourself where you can see this occupying you for a lot longer?
I think this will take a lot longer. I didn't mention that by training, I am a social worker and a lawyer. And actually, both of these aspects of my background have been helpful because I understand my specialty was sex offenses, domestic violence, human trafficking. And so I understand oppression, I understand hardship, and the law, I think, has really helped me do a lot of the archival research, sheet by sheet, one at a time, going through. And basically my standard was I had to read the same thing 5 times before I put it in the book. I wanted to make sure it was consistently recorded and throughout the literature. One other tidbit about me is that I grew up in the inner city myself. I grew up in poverty. I grew up in a predominantly Black area, went to a predominantly Black high school, and in a very difficult time in our history in the 60s, had a lot of bad things happen to me, including being beat up by the chains of Rat Brown, being held hostage at a later time. And so at any rate, the upshot to it is it has helped me understand Black anger. Mm-hmm. The Black anger I experienced in the 60s and early 70s, having read what I've read now, and I've studied really up until current times, it, for me, has also been a journey about forgiveness. It's kind of 2 prongs of learning about the Gullah culture and slavery, going back to really the 1600s I've looked at, and I've looked at the international, what happened in other countries, Cuba, the Caribbean, Brazil particularly. But it has helped me to understand Black anger, and it has given me a forgiving heart.
Well, speaking of Forgiving Hearts, so you've got this. I've got just another minute or so, but I want to talk about the children's book, Growing Up Gullah, because this is also part of that research that you've done, and another sort of crown in the jewel in the crown.
Yes. So based on that same body of research, when I was living in Mount Pleasant, I saw a young woman come on to international or national TV and say, there's not enough books about Black children in our culture. And I'm like, I have 5 years of research now. I can write a children's book. And because I was living right in the heart of Gullah country there, I started interviewing a lot of people in Mount Pleasant, coming into their homes and whatnot. So that story is about a grandmother telling her granddaughter about their whole culture and the history of Mount Pleasant and Charleston.
Look, your work is fantastic. It's inspiring. I'm excited for you. If there's anything I can do to help you promote your work and help spread the word about what you're doing, I just hit me up always. This is Josie Olsvig. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm going to send you backstage now. And if you want to hang out. And we're going to talk to another author here for just a few minutes. Thanks, Josie.
Okay, thank you.
Welcoming to the stream now, Mary Beth Gibson. I think we might have kind of a bad connection, so I'm gonna pause here and let us catch up.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can. Oh, did we lose her? Mary Beth is the author of the Duncullen Saga. I'm going to put that up here for people to be able to see. It's a historical fiction series about Ireland. Mary Beth, why don't you tell us a little bit about your book? Oh, I wonder if she can't hear me.
Hi, are we connected? I'm having a terrible time here.
We are. I'm just going to put your information up so our viewers can see it, and hopefully we'll get to visit with you at another time, okay? All right. Now adding to the stream, Amber. Hi, Amber. I'm sorry, like startle you awake. Unfortunately, Mary Beth's connection is so slow that there's a lot of lag to it. So I want to try to make sure we're giving our viewers the best possible experience we can give them. I do want to make sure we promote Mary Beth's books. Again, that's her website there, so you can see that. And the name of the trilogy or the saga is the Duncullen Saga. So, but now I've got
really
Amber.
Good things about her books.
Yeah, she's extremely talented, really talented. So I'm looking forward to getting a chance to dive into those. But you just came out of the very last session of the annual conference, the Storytelling State. You already look so much more relaxed.
This camera is so much better than the Zoom camera. Like I look 10 times better right now than I don't know. You're seeing me happy that it's over, but also happy that I'm looking better than I just did. Because the Zoom camera is not friendly with me for some reason.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. So look, the last session was the Slush Fest. I thought it went really well. It seemed like people were receptive to the responses they were getting. And before that, we had Jeffrey Blunt this morning. That was a lot of fun too. So what was your favorite part of the weekend?
Trying to think. I should have thought about this and prepped a little bit more.
Okay.
It has been hard, I'll be honest. Like it's been super hard to kind of like experience things as a writer. So I'm really looking forward to going back and watching some things. I did really enjoy Slush Fest and hearing them. I actually got a lot out of Query Fest yesterday too, looking at those query letters with if you're at that place in your work where you're querying, I think that's really helpful. And then what was something else yesterday that I liked a lot? Oh, I really enjoyed, I went to Sanel's. I actually got to kind of experience Sanel's a little bit because I wasn't doing anything during that time period. So I enjoyed hers, enjoyed the kind of Q&A with Belle and Sanel. But yeah, I feel like everything that I've gone to has been really great. And I think that useful for writers. So yeah, I'm going to go back and kind of revisit every recording.
Yeah, so we were all a little bit disappointed that we had to be on Zoom for the whole weekend. But there's so many advantages to it. The first being, of course, that you don't have to abandon your family and pay for a hotel room. You can do all of this in your pajamas, which is also really awesome.
Yeah.
And that anything that you missed because you chose one session over the other, you could come back to the recordings afterwards and watch them at a later date. So kind of excited about that piece of it too. So what I was really interested in was like all these wonderful things about the Zoom conference. And it was like one of the least expensive conferences we've ever had. And I'm like, we should straight have charged twice as much. Like,
yeah. And we actually couldn't have afforded, we couldn't have afforded getting all that faculty if we were paying for travel and everything too, just, so it was actually really in this way, it was really nice to be able to involve so many elements, and people that, like Marley, Jane, the three agents, other than Carrie, they were just there. Marley was a part of everything just out of the goodness of her wanting to be of service to writers in South Carolina, So we had a lot of people a lot of faculty who just devoted their time. Jane and Lucy, the agents from yesterday, Rebecca, there's some people who were just giving to be giving to our community. So that was really, really nice.
Yeah, well, listen, you did a fantastic job from beginning to end. Just a really great conference. The faculty was fantastic. Friday night session was really good. Last night's open mic was so much fun. Vivian has got that open mic thing nailed. It was really, really good.
I was there for the first 30 minutes, but then I was like, I cannot hear. It was just like the Zoom. I was like, I can't do it. I was home and I hadn't seen my children in like 36 hours. So I kind of figured I should spend a little time with them. But I am going to go back and listen. I heard there were some pretty powerful readings. So did you read? Did you end up reading?
I did. I read 2 pages out of the vampire novel. And actually it's like a page and a half out of the vampire novel that I'm querying right now. And and it went really well. I really liked it. And so as soon as it was over, I go running upstairs and I made my daughter and her friend listen to it too.
Oh, nice.
I dragged my husband upstairs, like, you guys have to come and hear my open mic reading. It was really good. So yeah, I think it was a lot of fun. Like more than anything this time around, because I got to do a little bit of the moderating, a little bit of just attending, and then a little bit of the participating, like with the open mic. It was probably a more enriching conference than I've been to in the past. And so I just want to thank you for putting together just a really good experience, and having the opportunity to talk to all these authors on the live stream has been so cool. And I have a whole stack of books I now have to read.
That was such a great idea on your part. Of course, I didn't understand the technicality of it, and it scared me at first, but I was just trusting you to pull it off, and you totally did. And really, I think I remember John from the first night. I also, I love, the literary trivia, the prompt party.
Yes.
Usually it's just the open mic, so I like that we kind of mixed it up a little bit and had some other things, and that I want to keep doing. I think the prompt thing could probably be maybe, a whole hour. And I think there are certain things that we should maybe try to keep doing, even if we go back to an in-person. This live stream, for example, is a great example of something that we could totally do with an in-person conference too, So I like that, kind of in the same way that educators are figuring out how to use technology to their benefit as we, return to school. I think that it's kind of cool that we're going to be able to apply some of these things, hopefully, to conferences in the future.
Well, and I think we're after a year of pandemic, so many people have done so many digital things that our users, our attendees, were more digitally savvy, right, than they have been maybe in the past. So if we tried to do this a year ago, probably would have been a disaster. But now after a year, people getting a little bit more used to being in that digital space, I think people were able to make it work for them a little bit better.
Yeah, and I don't think we had any event, social or otherwise, or workshop that was attended by less than 25 people. Even the readings, faculty readings are notoriously poorly attended, because it's just, surprise, surprise. It's just, not something that people love, but we didn't have less than 25 people at any reading. And so I love that so many people tried to get as much. I don't know if Danielle is out there, but Danielle was literally at every single thing the entire weekend. I don't think that woman turned off her computer. So there's certain people that I noticed, I was like, they're in it. They're still in it. Yay. So that was really fun.
Well,
see
you
that.
made a couple of good suggestions as we were all getting registered, talking about possibly going to some other place, right, where your family wouldn't be expecting you to meet family obligations over the course of the weekend. And it's okay to take time out to focus on your writing as a craft, as a career, and as something that you're dedicated to. It's okay to focus on that for a full, 2.5 days or however long. And so I thought all of those points were really well made in the marketing leading up to this. And I hope that we had a lot of people that felt like they got what they came for out of it. And two, like in the session that we sat in today with Anne, it was a novel structure session, which now I've written 3 novels, so I feel like maybe I kind of get this, but I still get something out of being there, right? I still get something out of hearing somebody else explain their approach and make their suggestions and that kind of thing. So I just think there was a little bit of something for everybody, whether people have been doing it for a long time or whether they were novices, and not quite as heavy on the business side as we have been sometimes. We did talk a little bit about the querying and there were some general sort of marketing and path to publishing conversations, but it was really more focused on craft. And I thought that was really well done as well.
Yeah, I thought when I was writing the email this morning to go out to everyone, I was kind of thinking, and I think there was a really good blend of, because we had published like a pro, we had the agent panel, we had the self-promotion, so I thought there was like enough, but also, and, I thought there was like a good blend for anyone who was writing and wherever they are. I mean, we talked about this a little bit, but even, one of the people in The Plot Thickens is a screenwriter. He's writing, a TV show. He's trying to write a TV show. And so I just think that there was like so much for everybody, and I just feel like there was a lot of craft, but I think there was enough of the other stuff too, that no matter where you are, whether you're querying, whether you already have an agent. I mean, Susan Zarenda and Jeffrey Blunt, they have agents and they have an agent and they were still there, still at workshops, still learning. So I really loved that.
Yep, I did too. Listen, you're to be congratulated. Really good work. I'm glad for you that you can now go lay down and take a nap and not worry about anything for a few days, at least until we have to start doing all these reports and wrap ups and that sort of thing.
I know. The second I get the email from Mike that's like, hey, when do you want to meet for the
postmortem?
Have a postmortem. Like, no, can we just have like another week?
Yeah, it's just a few days to come down off the high. But like I said, really, really, really good work. So I'm going to try to reconnect with Mary Beth here and see if I can't get her in here and chat with her about her stuff. Right. You're free to go, Amber. You're done. Well done. And we'll see you next time. All right, Mary Beth, let's see if we can make this work. Let's see if we got your connection fixed. Can you hear me?
Frozen.
Oh, no, maybe not.
Nope. No.
Okay. Just too bad. I'm sorry.
It is.
All right. Well, we're going to do this for Mary Beth. We're going to put her website up here. It's mbgibsonbooks.wordpress.com. And the name of her series, the Duncullen Saga. And if you haven't got a chance to visit with Mary Beth, don't worry, because Right on SC has got your back. We will reconnect with Mary Beth and try to get her back at some point on either our show or on the live stream. One more chat in with Josie. Are you there still? Thanks.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks for being part of this. I really do appreciate you. And again, if there's anything I can do to help you and to promote your books and promote your work, just let me know, okay?
All right. Thank you. Thanks. You.
Have a great rest of your weekend.
All right.
All right. That's it. That was our final live stream of the weekend. Thank you so much to the South Carolina Writers Association, to the South Carolina Humanities, to Write, Publish, Sell, to everybody who made the conference possible. We really, really appreciate your willingness to allow Right on SC as part of this particular experience. Let me see if I can find my website. Can I? Nope. Here's the SCWA website. So there you go. Thanks again for being part of the weekend. Thanks for supporting the show. If you'd like to learn more about Right on SC, our website is rightonsc.blog. We'll be glad to have you as a member of our community. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter. And if there's ever anything I can do to promote you and promote your work, by all means, please reach out and let me know. It's been my pleasure for the weekend. Signing off. This is Casey from Right on SC. Have a great rest of your weekend.